welcome to the Total Media Networks Dr. Christopher Hall Show, and I'm excited to welcome the program Dr. Hall. Dr. Hall, how are you? Thank you for your service. How are you this week, sir?
Doing pretty good. Just excited about our show today. Something I'm hoping will lift the spirits of America as we go through these very difficult times. So,
when Dyson sings, is this part two with Dyson Knight from the Baha Men? And last time he really got our spirits up by singing, and we need that. And this is a great point when you say with the media blackout, kind of the end of the week, we're kind of finally, back to certain things, but still things are very tough in the United States to a level that we never even thought would occur. So This is a perfect time to bring and lift spirits. So Dr. Hall, how are things been in your area of the country with the protests and stuff?
well, very trying as, all over the country. Here, I'm actually here in Mobile, Alabama, so we've had some protests, but I think that I think it's a positive message that we're seeing out there with young people, a different generation, and they're just not putting up with stuff that we saw in the old days. So I think it's great. Again, certainly we don't need the bad elements, the looters, but we kind of apply what's going on and hope that this gentleman, George Floyd, gets justice. So.
Okay, so introduce our guest for part two. Again, I already kind of did. We got Dyson Knight back again from the Baha Men. So Dr. Hall, what questions from last time do you want to ask Dyson? Because we only had him for 15 minutes, so it's perfect to finish up the final 15. And we could have Rick, but what questions do you have for Dyson that he did not answer? We learned a lot about how he became part of the band. We learned about specifically enough some of the stardom, and we learned about specifically his role. What other questions do you have for Dyson?
Well, you know what? Again, it's great having, Dyson Knight from the Grammy Award-winning group, the Baha Men. Again, a group with many, many awards, Billboard awards, and lots of awards in the Bahamas. My camera's off for a second.
Before we jump into that, let me just hop in and speak on the elephant in the room. Here in the Bahamas, we are predominantly Black people, right. And we don't really see the form of racism that is seen in the Americas.
Really?
Ours is pretty much past related. But we definitely, as a band, and especially speaking on behalf of myself, we do stand in solidarity with on the stance of the evolution of equality, the eradication of racism in all forms, the respect for human life, and love. Especially the band would want everyone to exist in love. And it may sound a little cliche to want everybody to live in harmony, but I do believe it's possible. And if we can't live in harmony, we can at least live in respect for one another. So just wanted to say that, and I guess that's a great time for Rick to pop in. What's up, Rick?
Hey, Rick.
My apologies.
Hey, this is part two. We weren't
How you
finished
doing?
with the questions, Rick, and appreciate Rick from the Baha Men stopping by. But it's a different time, and it's interesting having all of you on, gentlemen, especially what's happened with the protests for George Floyd. And we're now seeing specifically enough how the unrest since when Dyson came on last week, a week ago, and now how we're feeling 7 days later. Anything you want to add, Rick, to this? And Dyson was kind of really bringing up a great point. In your country, there is less racism because of the amount of that you're not a minority in the Bahamas, but kind of shed light, and especially because you've traveled all over the world, you really did a lot in the United States. How you feel about this?
Well, first off, I'd like to send a special shout out to everybody, all of my friends and family in the United States, because I feel really um, connected to this. Apart from my travels, I have family over there as well. I'm sure Dyson could agree as well. And we
Yeah.
all, because we are neighbors right next to the United States, we do feel the pinch. So it's this is another world uproar, and it's definitely waking up a lot of people um, to raise more awareness of what the actual reality is in terms of the Black community. And I think this stems to worldwide, even if on the islands. So we here, we don't really experience what the United States is going through now, because, the majority of our people here, we are Black versus white. But, we have a different take in terms of how we handle racism over here. Um, but we definitely do feel the pinch of what's happening over there in the United States. So, I've even been like on my socials, sharing and bringing more awareness to my followers as to what's happening, and just saying that we support. And just to add that, yes, people in the Bahamas do feel it, and we are definitely sympathizing with those who had to actually go through that, because
Right.
we even had so many students that go to college over there who actually, they got a little taste of it.
Wow.
And I hear these stories, and as just a matter of fact, a close friend of mine, she went to college, just came, I think she went to, I can't remember exactly where it was, but she's experienced racial discrimination as well. So hearing these bits and pieces of stories, and I mean, I've experienced a little bit of it on my travels too in my
Yeah.
heyday, but nothing compared to what I'm seeing now. It's unbelievable, and I sympathize with the families of those that are, everybody that has been lost.
Yes.
Um, we definitely feel it, but enough is enough now.
Yeah, I agree, Rick. And at least now they're all charged, so we can kind of move forward. But we can't move forward till we figure out what's happening with the police in the United States. But I'm glad you were able to share that with your fans that are really going through hard times right now, dealing with what's happening in our country. And it's great that both you and Tyson. But let's kind of bring some positivity to the finish up of the interview. Now, Dr. Hall,
Absolutely,
you have a
absolutely.
question for Rick from the Baha Men, one of the original from Who Let the Dogs Out. We learned a little bit about the history last time, that before you, Rick, there were the Baha Men. So I kind of made a similar comparison of the Baha Men to like the Blue Man Group, in a way of just specifically how it's the group that continues to go on regardless of who's performing. And you guys have seen that growth from the 70s all the way to today, and people like now Dyson taking over. But go ahead with your question, Dr. Hall.
Oh, no problem. Well, welcome to the show, Rick Carey, Grammy Award-winning singer, and very happy to have you here on a part 2 of this interview.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, no problem. Yes, sir. And so, the question I had for you is, we talked about, you mentioned about the racism, about some of that was experienced by friends and family here in the U.S. Tell me, how important is really music? Because this song, "Who Let the Dogs Out," was very, very inspirational, and it was transgender, transracial, transcontinental song. How important is
Yeah.
music? The other thing is, how important is education in all this? Those are the questions I have for you.
Well, that's a two-part question. I'll answer the first one. I think
Sure.
music generally, we need music. We really do. Music is the language that everybody can relate to. And it's an artist to express how they're feeling, what they're going through, their experiences. And sometimes we tell stories based on what we see from other people around us. Like Who Let the Dogs Out was based on a party. You all know the history on that.
Yes, we talked about
Um,
that in the last show. Yes.
yeah, and every song that we do tells a story, whether it's what we're observing around us, or personal experience. I find that the songs that we've done in the past was based on, we were trying to keep a more upbeat, a more fun, a more uplifting, positive. We still do a lot of positive music, but right now we kind of like flipped the script in these recent records, and we did more records that are like more adult contented. I mean, which is something that I always wanted to do for many, many years with our records, because we had to we had to play the politics game and the record game, and cater to the kids and cater to the Disney crowd, and cater to our young masses,
Right.
and then cater to the sports fans, and so on and so forth. But I felt like during the time duration that I've been in this group, I watched myself mature from 2000 to now. My vocals, my style of writing, the choice of things that my mindset has totally changed. Obviously, because I'm older now, but my mindset is way more mature. How I process things in terms of the music, it's like I kind of leave that era alone. A lot of the questions, you guys ever want to repeat history? But like, of course, but that doesn't happen. It's
Right.
hard to duplicate
You're
something.
always you always have to be part of that music, but you're evolving to a new level and a new audience. That I was learning a lot from Dyson, right? Dyson, is not true. Really, the new album is really going to be a different audience than the audience that we know from the years before the Bahamen, right?
Yeah, everyone's 20 years older now. so the new music is going to try to reach out, not try it. It touches those that are grown up, and especially the families, the mom and dads. They need that mom and dad time. So when they listen to a song like "Take a Chance with Me," that might mean, how about we have dinner day when the kids go to sleep? Get a little close dancing, and and have ourselves some a bit more grown up time. But at the same time, the music is still clean. So you would have to be an adult to really understand just how deep it does flow. And this song, "Take a Chance," especially with the music video, you'll be able to see that Bahamen is still that perfect device to use for entertainment of all walks, all levels of life, all ethnicities, all races. People can still party and feel like they belong in the music. I do suggest that when you do listen to "Take a Chance," that you listen without the expectation of "Who Let the Dogs Out," because I believe I said this in the last interview. There has not been many records in the world from any band that's at the level of "Who Let the Dogs Out." Right. But there's been many great records. Yeah. Many great records.
Also fast.
And the Bahamen has a list of hit songs, and "Take a Chance" is definitely the next one. So open your minds, open your ears, open your Amazon and your iTunes and your Spotify or whatever it is you listen to music on, YouTube, and listen to "Take a Chance." You give it a little dance, listen to it at least 7 or 8 or 9, 10 times, and then give us a call. Call Neil, call Dr. Hall, let him know how you feel about "Take a Chance."
Now, here's a question for Rick. It looks like Dr. Hall it had to head out for a second, maybe some sort of a emergency, but he asked a really good question. I think really the kind of theme of the second half of the show, of this part 2 of the Bahamen, is really talking about the whole process of how you feel for the protesters and the amount of protesters and all those things. But a question I wanted to ask Rick was, the specifics that people always remember, "Who Let the Dogs Out." Dyson kind of explained to me that it's more than that. There's a ton of songs that you ended up going,
Oh,
you ended up, and are you done doing those? Because if you did all these Disney ones and you did all these other, you know, dance party songs, is that over for you, or would you consider that again if that came up?
I think it's a matter of um, what I would base that on. I'll put the pressure on the leader, Isaiah Taylor, because at the end of the day, he makes the final decisions. On my gut feeling, I still like to be able to have the best of both worlds because we can't never deny that audience. We still have that audience. When we go down to Disney to do our shows, it's always a packed house. So I could never, ever deny that. So we want to be able to have more. I mean, we have a huge catalog of music. We're talking about, I mean, like I'd say basically about almost 2 decades worth of history in this group
Oh,
with
wow.
each and every member in this band because there's always something interesting about each member of the group, each musician. They all have this huge, rich history of traveling abroad and working in either other international bands before they got the Bahamian, and it's just very interesting to to hear about these stories from these guys, and and the talent level is top notch. So
Yeah.
that's how come we're able to still do what we do in this music business. It's very, very finicky.
Right.
So for a long time, even though we were able to put out a single every year or every 2 years, and play the singles game, but I feel like we were still blessed to still be able to do that because a lot of groups and a lot of artists aren't as fortunate to be able to continue on a career for so many years. Um, Being that the record industry is like,
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
so
as a full band, you're right.
yeah. So I mean, I think we're very, very blessed and very fortunate, and we thank God every day that we're able to just perform and make music and get out there on the stages worldwide, and people still feel us. We have our audience. They remind us of what we've been doing from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and I'd be like, wow, how in the world did you remember that? And you're way younger than I. It's amazing. The music just transcends over
Yeah.
the years. And then sometimes you have songs that aren't hits.
Right.
And there's that song in particular that just stands out. And then you see that couple of people in the front of the crowd
Mhm.
shouting they want to hear this song in particular.
Right.
And I'd be like, damn, what you know about that? It blows my mind away.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
that's
end up
right.
doing it. It's crazy. So now this new caliber of music that we're doing, it's a new market that we're entering. New but not so new.
Right.
Um, and Sony Latin has, they've been very, very supportive over the last few years that we've been signed to them. The creativity has gone even up a notch.
Right.
Um, the best is getting better, like fine wine, I guess.
Right.
Um, so yeah, we just
Okay.
continuing on the legacy of the music.
So I want 30 seconds for both of you to give a message to your fans in the United States for what they're going through, a positive message. Start with Dyson, and then we'll go over Rick.
Everyone needs a break. Everyone needs a breakthrough. Everyone is looking for that next great thing for themselves, the next big step in their lives. I would ask that people don't be so hard on themselves. You do what you can, and what you can't do, you team up, and you allow people to help you. I would say don't allow everything that's happening to make you jaded. Don't allow it to make you hateful. Um, and leave yourself open to smile. Leave yourself open to feel love and to receive love and also to give love. Because at the end of the day, love is the most powerful weapon. It's the only weapon that I believe is more powerful than music. And Bahamian has the music. So we got that part covered, and you guys just keep the love.
All right. And let's go again with Rick. Final message for your fans in the U.S. especially.
I mean, I just keep it simple. God is love, so let's love one another.
Mhm.
You know, we live in an imperfect world, and everybody is trying to look for some sort of a validation to their presence. But I feel like the ultimate message at the end of the day, even though we're searching for equality, um, I think the message at the end of the day is just love one another. This is one earth that we are living in. And we
All right.
have to find a way to bridge the gap. We have to find a way to bridge the gap and be able to coincide with one another, because, when you look at the Bible and you read the messages of the Bible, the stories of the Bible, and we talk about Revelations. Hello.
Yeah. We
I
have
don't want to put a spoke in the wheel here, but this is
no.
a reality that we are living in. You understand? So we got to revert back. This is
Yes.
a cleansing, I feel. We got to revert back to that
Agreed.
one key element that we all need. That's love. Love. No matter
Agreed.
your skin color. We have to be able
We have to do
show
that.
love and
We
respect
have to
each
come
other.
together. And if we don't,
Got to.
okay.
Got
And
to.
then Dyson, best place we can find info, because we got to go. Best place to find info.
Bahamian.com.
right.
Bahamian.com. BAHAMEN. Bahamian.com.
Yep.
You guys are awesome. Best of luck. Update me on how things are going after the release. We'll have you back on again. And take care, guys.
Cheers, Neil.
Thank you.
All right, see you.
Take
Take
care.
care. That was the Dr.
Cheers.
Christopher Hall Show, guys. Take care. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Total Media Network's Neil Haley Show here on the Brian Kress Fit Celebrity segment. And I'm excited to welcome to the program Brian Kress. Brian, how are you? And you
Great,
are in the
Neil. I'm doing
South,
well.
South Carolina or North Carolina right now, Brian?
I'm in North Carolina right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So
On the
you
coast.
guys opened up quicker than Pennsylvania, and especially for our other guests, that he is not. Again, he took longer to open up for sure. He being in California. So go ahead and introduce our guest. It's really an honor to have him on the show.
Great.
Well, is it my turn? Is it my pleasure? Yeah. Thank you guys both for having me here. Really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Just an honor again to have you on the show, Tony. And and we're going to get right into specific questions. But how have you been surviving during this pandemic? Was it hard for you? Because I'm sure you travel a lot.
It's funny. I travel in spurts. There are times. There was one year when I was like the second year I was dating my wife. I was gone half the year. You know what I mean? So some years are like that, where literally I'm home. I would go on these military tours with the DoD and Armed Forces Entertainment, and I'd be gone for 3/4 of a month. I was in Tokyo and parts of Japan. I was in Japan twice, South Korea, all over Europe and stuff like that. So I really enjoy doing that, but it takes you away for a long time. And then then there are periods where I don't leave the house for months. So it really does vary from depending on how many jobs I've got, how many public speaking things I have. And during the pandemic, I've been busier than ever because of a lot of stuff that I do is online anyway. My brand new supplement line called Power Life, everything is online. So a lot like today, for example, later in the afternoon, I've got a 3.5-hour voiceover session that I'm going to do in my closet, right? So I'm busier like that. I'm not driving to Calabasas like I normally would. So there's that. And then I'm shooting a lot of videos. I'm doing 3 free workouts a week on Facebook Live. That keeps me accountable, keeps my fans accountable.
Right.
So I'm just keeping myself super busy. And, other than not really leaving the house much, I have left this house 3 times in 10 weeks. So, but then again, I have gyms everywhere. I got a gym downstairs. I got 3 outside, you know what I mean? So, and I do a lot of Zoom workouts just like this.
So that's surprising. I'm the one that goes grocery shopping all the time. So I guess, Tony, you have someone else doing your groceries then.
My wife is all about the groceries. That's right. She
So you lucked out. You're lucked out in that. My wife's like, no way, you go and get infected. So I have to go out. All right, Brian, go with your first question for Tony.
Great. So Tony, I was curious, when you were growing up, were you always athletic?
No, sir. I always wanted to be. my father was a super jock. You know, he was the captain of his baseball, basketball, and football team, you know, when he was at Tabor Academy. And, you know, he got recruited by the then New York Giants. He was a pitcher. He threw a hell of a fastball and a curveball, and he'd hit you a lot too. So he was a wild man. You know what I mean? When he was growing up, the coaching and mentoring and teaching was this, you know, like win or loss column only kind of philosophy, right? And he just despised it. And so he kind of left me alone, maybe to the point where it was almost too much. I would have liked a little bit of guidance. So I was self-taught when it came to everything, and I didn't really begin to figure things out till I got to college. I mean, I played sandlot football and tennis and golf, and, you know, I would play sports poorly. You know, I didn't exercise though. It was the 60s and 70s. Like, you know, exercise, that's something you did in gym class, you know, and it wasn't a thing, you know, but in college, I took a weightlifting, like a hypertrophy class that I really fell in love with. And weird, oddly enough, my GPA went up that semester, little did I know that it was changing my brain chemistry as I was, breathing heavily and doing all these exercises and being very consistent with it. Cause you had to be consistent. You had to go to class and you had to go to class and you lifted weights. So that didn't stink. And, I got stronger and my physique changed and I just felt better and slept better. All kinds of interesting things happened. Then I came out to California and the culture out here was something I had never, this was back in 1980. I mean, there were gyms on every corner and it's a 365 kind of a fitness atmosphere. You can go skiing and surfing on the same day out here where I live.
Yep.
So,
wow.
So I just fell in love with that and it was really new to me. And then, eventually I started training people. I didn't have a certification. People just saw that I was getting really fit. My boss noticed and friends of mine noticed and other people said, hey, do for me what you did for you. I go, okay, so.
Right.
And then I got Tom Petty, and then before you knew it, I was training rock and roll for quite a few years there.
Really? Oh, the Tom Petty. Oh my! You've heard that Tom Petty story, how he got discovered. Then I interviewed the person that wrote Tom Petty and Me, and he talked about how Tom Petty was discovered and stuff on the rock and roll and all the radio and all that stuff, and how basically not unknown, and then the radio made him a star overnight. And that's
his early days with Mudcrutch. I mean, I trained Tom for 30 plus years. Wow. So I went on tour with him twice. And so I knew everything you want to know.
That's another book, right?
Between him and Billy Idol and Annie Lennox and Stephen Stills from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And I had my Monday, Wednesday, Friday client list was my first client was Billy Idol. Then I had Tom Petty, then I had Annie Lennox, then I had Stephen Stills, and then I had Bruce Springsteen. I had the 5 of them in one day, 3 days a week. For a short period there, they would travel and go on tours and stuff. But yeah, it was, there's a book or two there one day.
Oh yeah, teaching how to become a celebrity trainer. Because again, the celebrity trainer can give you that branding, and we'll have to find out in the story more. So Brian, go ask the next question, and I'm sure it's going to lead us to why Tony loves this so much.
Yeah, so my next question was, when did you know or kind of begin to figure out that motivating people to commit to health as a lifestyle was something you were passionate about?
Well, it was very haphazard. There was a lot of serendipity and kismet that happened. I came out to LA to be an actor and a comic. And, I dabbled in that. I was with Second City LA. I did stand up for 2 years, or at least I tried, going on, cold open mic nights or no picnic. You're traveling like an hour and a half from your house to get that 11:30 slot when you showed up at 8 o'clock to sign up. I mean, there's nothing fun about those early days of comedy. But, I did a lot of scene study. I had 4 different acting coaches when I was here. And the fitness and the exercise was a side thing. I was a carpenter and a handyman, and I was a go-go dancer at Chippendales, and I had every weird, crazy job you can imagine. When I completely ran out of money, I would have to put on. I was a trained pantomime, and a street performer. So I put my hat out on the street, in Westwood near UCLA, or down by the pier in Santa Monica, and that's how I'd make enough money to live on Cheerios and yogurt for 3 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, the whole exercise fitness trainer thing. I don't know what that was. But then, when I finally got a gig over at 20th Century Fox, I was a runner or a production assistant of there. My first client was my boss, because I had an agent, and the agent said, "Hey, pudgy little skinny guy, you need to change your physique if you want to get more jobs here in the City of Angels." You know what I mean? You can't be out of shape and pasty. You know what I mean? So, okay, my agent said so. I'm going to do it. And I got into it, man. I was in the gym 5-6 days a week, and I, I read a lot of books, and I spied on Arnold. I mean, I was at World Gym. I'd spy on Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno. Like, what are these guys doing? Like 40 sets of chest. Seems extreme, but I'm in. You know what I mean? So, and then I got his name was Harlan Goodman. He was over at 20th Century Fox trying to make movies, and I got him. He lost 35 pounds actually. And then Tom Petty, who they had a connection from the music industry years before. Tom saw Harlan at East End Management. Oh my God, Harlan, you look fantastic. I'm going on tour and I'm fat, and nobody likes a fat rocker. How did you get in shape? I've never seen you look like that. And Harlan said, I was Tony Horton. So Tom Petty calls my house, and so my roommate picks up the phone. Hello, hi, it's Tom Petty. Of course, Bob, my roommate, looks at me and says, "Yeah, dude, I think it's the guys downstairs screwing around." I said, "Hang up." So my roommate hung up on Tom Petty. Called right back though. "Hey, I think we got disconnected." It's like, then Bob turned to me and goes, I think this is Tom Petty. So I went to Tom's house the next day, put out a cigarette when I walked in, gold records and platinum records all over the wall. I had him for 4 months. I got him ripped, man. I mean,
Really?
He couldn't bench 10 pounds, and he was benching 45s. He was smacking the crap out of a heavy bag. I mean, he was wearing, no shirt and vests on stage. No one had ever seen that before, because he was he was like, jacked up. And then the phone rang off the hook, and all of a sudden, I guess I'm a trainer now.
Yeah.
So I guess you didn't answer the question for Brian. So when did you know it was your love?
When I started training Tom Petty. Yeah, when I noticed that I could here was this super important guy, right? Who had a major influence on a lot of people in the music industry. And his stamina was down, and his energy was down, and his voice wasn't quite what he wanted it to be. And through exercise and better diet, he went off on that tour and he kicked the crap out of it, right? And so I was like, oh my God, that was me. All his management people were like, holy crap, you know what you've done for this man? And so that's the reason why the phone rang off the hook, and I still pursued acting and did commercials and small parts in TV shows and movies, little teeny things. But that's when I went, wow, this is really fun. I love impacting people this way. And especially, my start was like just not working at a local gym like I have other people, just, random people coming in. I was dealing with major celebrities right out of the box. So I was dealing with their temperaments and a lot of different things. There's a lot of ego involved there. And they liked me just because I was a regular dude, you know what I mean? And so I thought I can make more money, have more fun, hang out with really amazing people, and I don't have to be a mime at the pier anymore. Sign me up. That's
And
right.
so,
Yeah, exactly.
You had that entertainment dream, and I think Brian, that's what he had. And that's the same thing I do. I do a lot of things in business around. I love being an entertainer, former professional wrestler. I am Tony, and and I always wanted to stay in entertainment, even as a teacher. And I found other things so I can do my passion, which is radio and television, and doing these celebrity interviews to build my business and my brand. So I found something I love, but ultimately, if I could get paid for something that not many people get paid for, what a dream. And at one point that could happen, but at least I found things I love that can work around that, so it doesn't feel like a job. All right, Brian, next question, because I know everyone wants to know how Tony Horton became more than just Tom Petty's trainer.
Right. So that leads me to the question, how did you develop your programs? What was it that got you developing to so many of these programs that you've created over the years?
That's a great question. There were people in the industry, Billy Blanks for one, you know what I mean, and doing the Tybo thing. And then, of course, it was Tony Little with the Gazelle, and Jane Fonda and Suzanne Summers, and they had a certain impact on a certain population. But everybody else who wasn't really into the at-home workout stuff, they were going to the gym, right? So when I was first starting out, my focus, and one of the things that I learned early on was the more variety that I gave myself, the faster the results would be. So what happens to a lot of people is they start doing just yoga or just martial arts or just boxing or just bodybuilding or just cardio, or you know what I mean? Or they're very specialized. And a lot of those people had very specific types of bodies based on what they were doing, because what they were doing was very similar day to day, week to week, month to month. And, you know, because I have I have ADD and ADHD and LMNOP, NYPD Blue. I got all the acronyms, you know what I mean? So I don't have much of an attention span. And I got really bored doing the same things over and over again. So, all right, well, I'm going to start doing some track workouts, or, you know, I'm going to go to a yoga class, or I'm going to start doing, you know, these aerobic routines, even though I'm the only guy in the class. I don't care. I just want to learn. I was just in a process of learning. And I noticed that the more variety that I gave myself, the more my body developed, the faster the fat would come off. Because most people don't succeed with exercise because of boredom, injuries, and plateaus, right? So they start something and they get bored because it's the same old thing. And they get injured because it's the same old thing. And they get plateaus because it's the same old thing, right? So, you know, the philosophy behind P90X, X2, X3, 22-minute hardcore, all of them, even the new one on Gaiam, the next level, is give people enough variety so those three things don't happen. And so you get people who lose 200 pounds. You get people who've never been, you know, who are in their 50s, who look like they're in their late 20s, you know what I mean? Because they're eating better and they're exercising in a variety of ways. And I use Tom Petty and Billy Idol and Bruce Springsteen and all these people as my guinea pigs. I'd show up and go, hey, guess what? We're doing something new today. Hey, guess what? We're doing something new today. And they're like, oh man, I just started figuring that out. And I said, yeah, but the idea here is to try to get you in the best possible shape so you don't get hurt, you don't get bored, and you don't plateau, right? So, and there's a lot at stake here because you got a big movie coming up or you got a big tour coming up. So so it was school all the time, and it was school all the time for me, and I'm still in school. And that's why I'm able to continue to develop new programs that are sort of different from one to the other. If you look at P90X, we had a term called muscle confusion, which was a made-up term, just made it up, but it described what it was. It was confusing your muscles from week to week. Because if you look at the entire program of P90X, for the first 6 days, you do this, and then you do that for the first 3 weeks. And then the fourth week, you change it completely. You have what we called a rest week, which wasn't much of a rest week, but it was just mellow or less intense. Then the following month, it was completely different. And then the last month was different. And so, and it's odd, it's strange that no one's tried to rip that off. They really haven't yet, but thank God, even though that program's 16 years old. So that was it. It was my own determination to just expose myself to as much as possible, then do that for my clients. And then it just made sense to do that with all my programs.
Now, when you think about P90X, that just changed your life, right? In a lot of ways, having your own program, right?
I mean, you know, prior to P90X, there was something called Power 90, which if you're an old Tony Horton fan, you bought that on VHS tape. You know what I mean? There was no internet. There were no phone. You had a car phone if you were rich. You had a car phone with a thing. You know what I mean? But that's how old that was. And Power 90 was sort of the launching point. And then P90X just went skyrocketed. I mean, I was living in the same apartment for 21 years, and I was training all these big shot celebrities, but I lived in a crappy part of town in a bad place where my car got broken into every Thursday, whether it needed to be or not. You know what I mean? It was just, those were the early days. And I didn't have any real success until the age of 46. So, you know, I mean, well, I'm maybe a little earlier. I think Power 90, I was about 43 or 44.
My gosh. Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I just, you know, I mean, all these books are personal development, except for some rock climbing and mountaineering books. It's mostly just personal development, you know, from Deepak Chopra to Tony Robbins to Richard Carlson to, you know, Gary Zukav, Keith Ellis. It's all back there, man. And so, you know, when I came out to California, you know, I was still suffering from a speech impediment and real insecurity issues. And I was a major procrastinator. And, you know, I just assumed that if things, you know, making dramatic paradigm shifts just was not in my lexicon. You know, it just didn't exist. But then I just, you know, I went to all those personal development seminars down by the airport. Why are they always by the airport? But they are, you know what I mean? Maybe they're the people that get their money and they try to escape. But I mean, I learned a ton, and I just rearranged the way I thought, you know what I mean? And exercise and diet was the foundation to all of that, because I learned later from John Rady, who wrote the book Spark, that physical fitness changes every aspect of your, not only your physical, but your mental and emotional state. You release norepinephrine and dopamine and brain-derived neurotropic factor. There's all these neurotransmitters that just light up like a Christmas tree, man, when you start to breathe heavy. And when you do, you're like, oh, you know what? I feel like saying yes more often than no. And so all my no's turn into yeses. And by the way, I fell on my face 1,000 times. I mean, I made so many mistakes early on. But I didn't care. Like, I wasn't attached to the outcome that much. You know what I mean? My whole thing was show up and see what happens and learn from it. And you know, all that, I guess the short answer is I was doing all of that, adding all that muscle confusion, as we like to call it. And so I developed a program that didn't exist on Earth. I mean, did I know we were going to sell? I don't know. I think there were 6 million copies in the end.
Right.
11 in all, including the pirated ones. But yeah, we made a major impact on people's lives around the world. It's pretty amazing.
So Brian, it's interesting looking at 47, I might still have a chance, right? Even though I've struggled through as entrepreneur success, but not to that level. And then one thing pops, or you figure out one thing. And I guess that's where you see, Tony, all those mentors, the books you've read and self-help that really keeps you going even through the tough times.
Absolutely. And, you know, 47, you're just a punk kid, man. I got to tell you, right? So, and as a former wrestler, you know the drill, man. It's not new to you. It's just, you know, the key is purpose, plan, and accountability, right? So that's sort of the foundation of how people get, you know, motivated and stay consistent, right? So if your purpose is, oh, you know what? I want to feel great today. I want to improve my mental and emotional state. I want to improve my sex drive. I want to have I want my circadian cycles at night when I sleep be, you know, good, so I wake up invigorated in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, if you know that if you believe that, like church, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, forget about the future. Like, people who are exercising because they want to look different in the future or make comparisons to the past or have other people say nice things about them. Like, that's the worst purpose of all, because it's all about your ego, man.
Right.
And your ego will take you down every time. So you just do it for yourself and you want to improve today, then you get up and you move your ass. You know what I mean? It's that. And by the way, it doesn't have to be P90X. It can be anything. Go for a walk up a hill. I don't care. As long as your lungs are working from the midway point down. You know what I mean? Because most of us are just using the top half. You know what I mean? Especially now during this with the virus. I mean, the virus exposes lung weakness. Of course, if you got type 2 diabetes and hypertension and heart issues, right? But you want to make sure right now, and I do more cardio now than ever. I'm not a cardio junkie. I just want to make sure that I'm taking care, making my lower lungs more durable and less vulnerable to this illness, so that if I do get it, you know, I can kick its ass. That's the whole point.
Makes sense. All right, Brian, next question.
So you mentioned this, and when you're talking about training people like Tom Petty, they have all kinds of egos and ideas, but they wanted to change. What are some of the keys that you've seen as far as like changing people's mindset? If they've got one mindset about either health or exercise or their eating, what are some of the keys as a motivational speaker that you've seen and in research you've done for your books that have been important to help people make those changes that they say they want to make and really do want to make?
Well, you know, one of the things is I try to soften the blow. You know, I mean, if you look at P90X, you know, it has the word extreme in the title. But I mean, I give people so many versions of any particular exercise that almost anybody can do it. You know, if Jeremy Yost, who weighed 380 pounds, can do P90X and lose 180 pounds, that means I created a formula for him, right? And if you're an ex-gymnast who's 28 years old and needs to lose 8 pounds, well, then, you know, you're good to go. But I understand that there are moms in Kansas with 5 kids and a busy schedule. So I made something called a P90, which is a really easy, mellow, shorter exercise program that's doable because you have time restrictions. 22-minute hardcore was a military-based program, you know, that's 22 minutes, right? And I have 10-minute trainer. 10-minute trainer means you just break your workouts up in 10-minute chunks. And if you don't have 10 minutes, you just don't care. I can't help you. You know what I mean? You got to go on some kind of fad diet and hope that you're going to lose a few pounds so you look halfway decent in the future, which has nothing to do with your health and your wellness, right? So, you know, it was a combination. And I mean, when I wrote The Big Picture, the 11 Laws That'll Change Your Life, these were 11 things that I discovered that I needed to do so that I could be consistent, right? So that I can create a plan, so that I can be accountable, so that I can keep my expectations down and not make it about my ego, you know what I mean? And show up on a regular basis. And a lot of it is just came from here. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I like what's in that book. I'm going to, rephrase it. I mean, everything is regurgitated and recycled. You know what I mean? But and another thing too is success comes from, you know, taking the pressure off, figuring out ways to be consistent, having a plan, like, you know, make your, like, what are you going to do? And how are you going to do it? And do that in advance, just like everything else in your life, right? So, you know, one of the things that I do that helps people stay motivated is, you know, a lot of people are surviving, right? They're just getting by and they're paying their bills and they're going to work and they can't figure out why they're kind of miserable more than they are just fired up. You know what I mean? And so, you know, if you're consistent with it, right, like everything else, you're going to do more than just survive. You're going to thrive. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to survive or do I want to thrive? Thrive involves the foundation of two things you can control. I can't control the weather. I can't control a pandemic. I can't control the traffic. I can't control the members of my family, but I can control what I put in my gob, and I can control whether I decide to move or not today. And if I do those two things, all the things that are outside of my control, I got the energy and the power to deal with those things in a better way. So that's it.
Well, those are the only ones you're in control. You're not in control as an entrepreneur. You're more in control of your body and your health than anything.
Yeah.
That's
because, you know, people suffer from pain and fatigue on some level, physical, mental, or emotional pain or fatigue, right? And if you get up in the morning and your back is killing you and you're just exhausted, you know, by 1:30 in the afternoon, that means you're eating the wrong foods and you're not teaching your body to be stronger, more durable. And so if you have the will and discipline to do those things, and you don't even have to go to, you know, grad school or any, you know, you can take seminars and do different things to, you know, change your perspective here. But really, if you're, I can't tell you how many people who never graduated high school who just started exercising and eating right and reading a little self-help and became millionaires, you know.
That's a great point. So that's the missing component for me. So I was getting back in shape 3 years ago.
So you tell him, Tony.
3 years ago, and I had a great trainer. I love the board where you go and do a 30-minute workout and it's all board the whole way through. And then he would just, okay. And I never saw it that way. And then I did powerlifting, and then, you know, I had to get a job again, and different life happened. Now I'm ready.
Blah. Neil, simple question. How do you feel after a workout? That feeling you have.
Fantastic.
Great. How do you feel when you don't work out at all?
Not good. Like,
bingo. There's your answer. By the way, put that on your refrigerator, the back of your front door, or your bathroom mirror. Put it right there. You know how you feel when you do it, and you know how you feel when you don't.
We only have a certain amount of time, Tony. I'm the one that sticks to times. Latest projects.
All
right now. Go ahead.
Well, you know, Power Life is where I'm putting a lot of my energy. You know, I have a new series, a workout series called The Next Level with Gaiam, and that's going gangbusters. Really fired up about that. But Power Life, you know, I was with Beachbody a bunch of years, and you know, things changed over there for me. And 20 years was a great run. I still really love and support that organization, but I wanted more freedom. I wanted to try new things. They didn't want to do a supplement line with me. And the folks at Golden Hippo said, "Hey, man, Tony, we really love your philosophy. I got really sick in 2017, and I needed to find some formulations to help bring me back. You know, I mean, that's why I had these conversations with those folks. So there's a whey protein, vanilla chocolate. There's plant-based vanilla chocolate. There's an endurance formula, which is really great for exercise, you know, during exercise. And one of the best products that I think I've ever had that took a lot of time to develop is called Foundation 4. You know, the fiber, the probiotics, the magnesium, you know, and all in 5 servings of vegetables. I mean, ridiculous, you know. So every morning and every night, boink, right there in a shake. And it's going gangbusters. We sold out.
Fantastic.
You know, good news, bad news, but we're thrilled. It's going great.
It's
and if you want to find out about it, you know,
a new challenge for you, Tony, because you're used to the workout. Now you have that product. It's different because it's different than, you know, just the workouts. Now it's the nutrition, which you wrote about in books, but now it's your nutrition. That's got to feel great.
It's wonderful, man. And at 61 years old, you know, I mean, I understand the importance of supplementing your diet so that you can, you know, recover. It's about recover and energy, you know what I mean? And so
you look like you're 40, man.
If you're dragging, it's
How
really
are
difficult.
You
but if you're taking the right thing.
How are you 61? You look like you're 40.
July 2nd, 1958. I'm very lucky with the hair. I just got you know, both my parents.
I can't wait to hit. They finally opened up the haircut places. I'll look a lot better next week, Tony. You
look marvelous, Neil. Come on.
There goes. We should definitely 61. Brian, last question for you. Again, people can go check out Brian Kress and Kress Fit as well. But Tony, best place we can find info on you because we're gonna have to let him go. But
You got it. TonyHortonLife.com. Everything you ever want to know about me, what my live events, all the products I'm providing to the world. TonyHortonLife.com.
all right, and 20 seconds, Brian. Last words.
I mean, I just really have enjoyed talking to you, Tony. It's been great to hear. Obviously, knew about P90X and the program. My kids have done the program. I mean, it's, and I love the term muscle confusion. I think about that a lot of times when I'm doing my exercises, and it's just been great to hear from you on this. And I look forward to seeing what else, as you do your new programs and checking out your new books and everything.
Thank you. Yeah, we got a brand new line of fitness equipment that'll be out. With the pandemic, it was a little difficult with factories and stuff. Really, jump ropes and mats and med balls and things. TH Fitness is the name, so that'll be soon too.
All right. Well, you have to come back, Tony. We'll let you go now, but we'll talk soon, man. All right. You got
Thank
that.
you, fellas.
All right. That was, again, the Neil Haley Show. Take care, everyone.